Division II players making it to the NFL. There was only one guy drafted out of D2 in this year's NFL draft, but we're here today to talk about just about all the guys who have either signed undrafted free agent deals or have received invites to mini camps at the NFL level. Now, before I get going, I want to say I might miss a name or two or three or five. Hopefully that's the case because that means there's more guys getting opportunities from small school football. If I do, or if you want to see even more updated stuff, please, I encourage you, go to our Twitter, just hit the likes button right here, and you're going to see a bunch of stuff about a bunch of different guys. We try to at least like or we'll repost sometimes a lot of the things when guys get these opportunities. Please just go onto our Twitter, go to the likes, and you'll see at least the most updated stuff as far as this is concerned. Because like I said, I'm trying to cover it all the night. We'll see if I can actually do that. Now, the guy that did get drafted, I said there was one Division II player that got drafted. That was a dude that I don't think I really was surprised by. Mike Jerell from the University of Findlay down in the GMAC in Ohio. He gets picked round 6, pick 207 to the Seattle Seahawks. And if you guys know anything about Mike, we had their head coach, Corey Curtis, on from Findlay just a few weeks ago, talked glowingly about him, a guy they've developed at Findlay, and a guy that scouts have known that Mike was going to be a pro prospect. Coach Curtis came on here a couple weeks ago and talked about when scouts came to campus, Mike was a freshman, and an unnamed NFL scout, as he said, came up to Coach and said, "Coach, we were just at an SEC team last week. They don't have freshmen built like that." Mike is a dude that is ready to play at the pro level. What's really cool about this, too, I got to show you the video. You guys have probably seen like the getting the call videos from a lot of different teams. This one for Mike Jerell from the Seahawks was just a really cool video and kind of funny in the same way. So let's check that out first here.
Hey, Michael, John Schneider with the Seattle Seahawks. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How you doing?
Good, man. You had a great visit. We're getting ready to select you right here at 207, okay?
Oh, shit. For real?
Oh, yeah, for real.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
for
let's go.
real.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael, John Schneider with the
Dude.
Seattle Seahawks. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, shit. For real? That is such a like genuine, like just shocked reaction because we talk about the volume of D2 guys that get drafted. The number is very low, right? So for him to be getting this call, you kind of get towards the end of the draft. And for those who aren't familiar with kind of the draft process, a lot of these conversations with guys that are going to be potential like high priority undrafted free agents, those conversations start before the draft is even over, which is kind of ridiculous. But I remember talking to Trey Botts, Trey Botts was a defensive lineman from CSU Pueblo, and he had his UDFA deal done before the draft was even over. That was last year, and he went to the Ravens. So a lot of this stuff happens before. So for him to be assuming that the Seahawks were going to call him about potentially getting a UDFA deal done, it really is not ridiculous. Now, talking a little bit more about Mike, played tackle in college. Potentially, a lot of people talk about him moving to guard at the NFL level. Would not surprise me at all. He's pretty well-rounded in that regard, and a lot of guys his size play that position. He's 6'5", 294 pounds, so 6'5", 300, we'll say. So certainly not like undersized, but you have seen the tackle position go for guys that are even taller than that at a lot of different spots. Ran a sub 5-second 40-yard dash. At 6'5", 300 pounds, he ran a 4.94. That would have tied for the second fastest times among NFL offensive linemen at the Combine, but he wasn't invited to the event, unfortunately. But it's going to be really exciting for him. This is what draft analyst Lance Zierlein had to say about him. Don't know who he is. I'm just trying to pull some pieces off here. He says Jerell is nowhere near ready to take an NFL snap, but his traits and athleticism might be worth a developmental plan. To be sure, Jerell's a project. However, he should be able to improve as both a run and pass blocker with a year in technique work. He's limber enough with good range to climb to linebackers or set out the edge rushers. Jerell's unlikely to be drafted, but his tools might entice a team to bring him in for a longer look in camp. Boom, proven wrong. Seahawks go ahead and take the fella in the 6th round. That is pretty awesome. Now, moving forward, if there was one guy going into this, a D2 guy, where there were probably two guys where I would have said, hey, if there's going to be D2 guys name called, these are probably going to be the guys. Kyle Sheets is probably on the top of my list. He did not get his name called in the NFL draft, but very quickly we saw that he ended up getting a deal done. He's heading over to New Orleans on a free agent deal. Kyle Sheets, for those of you who are not familiar, I'm going to pull up his actual bio on the football website just so I don't misquote the numbers. He's 6'4", 220. And the dude ran really solid numbers and had like everything else, the measurables there. 6'4", 220. He's third in program history at Slippery Rock, a squad that is just a perennial playoff team in touchdown catches. Fourth in program history in receiving yards. This dude has filled up every stat in the book. He's played in a lot of big-time football games, big-time playoff moments. And again, the size and just stature of this dude, I thought for sure would have enticed a team to take him off the board because you just don't have wide receivers built like this guy who have the contested catch radius of this guy. I could go on and on. So I thought he was going to be one that would go off the board. I was proven wrong. This is why I'm not a talent evaluator. They obviously know things that I don't. I just know that I've loved watching Kyle Sheets play football, and I'm really excited to see him going on to the next level. He, last season, 76 catches, 1,200 yards, 17 touchdowns. Hello. Pretty awesome. He was at Temple's Pro Day, ran the 40, a 4.52. A 4.52 at 6'4", 220 pounds. Had a 37-inch vertical, had hit the bench press 16 times, and then a 10-foot, 2-inch long jump or broad jump, for those of you that prefer that kind of saying. The dude is a physical specimen. I'm really excited for him. He's a guy that I would not be surprised in the slightest if he sticks around and ends up making the damn 53-man or at least as a practice squad guy over there. Moving forward, though, let's talk about a guy that we had recently on the podcast. A dude who was playing at Wagner at the D1 level, transferred down, took a chance on himself at the D2 level. That's Chris Collier. He's the man from Lock Haven that we just featured most recently with his head coach, Dan Mulrooney. Chris was an absolute pleasure to talk to. Seems like a super down-to-earth human being. More importantly, the dude can play ball. He was came in as 1 year left to a Lock Haven team that was incredibly lackluster and a very talented PSAC. That conference, he tore shit up down there in the offensive backfield. Was a threat, obviously, in the backfield between the tackles on the outside run. Was a target out of the backfield in the pass game. Kind of really did it all for that Lock Haven offense and was a big reason, why they even had as good of a season as they had in kind of their recent history here. He's actually the first bald eagle from Lock Haven, that's their mascot, signed to an NFL active roster, or NFL roster, not active, to an NFL roster since Kari Kudala signed with the St. Louis Rams in 2011. So it's been 13 years at least since a guy from this team has even made it to the pros or even gotten their foot through the door. He was also at the pro day at Temple, finished in the top 10 among the combine running backs in the 40-yard dash, the bench press, vert, broad jump, and was first in the shuttle and the three-cone drill out of all the combine running backs. So it's going to be, really exciting to see what he does in rookie minicamp and see what he's got going on. He was the D2 Football Elite 100, a first-team All-American, basically a consensus All-American, which is pretty awesome. But we'll move forward. How about the quarterback position? And one that we don't see a lot of movement, especially out of D2. You don't see a ton of guys. Tyson Bagent's a great example. A lot of people fell in love with him last year at the Bears. But this is a guy that definitely is not on a lot of people's radar. How about Casey Balman from Augustana? And he is making his way over to LA with the Chargers. And what's interesting about Casey, he's obviously a dog. Like, he's a dude that can play ball. His journey to Augustana previously was at Montana State. And when he was there, he started the first 3 games of their season in 2019. And then the remainder of those 2 years, he was actually the backup. So that prompted the transfer in 2022, became a starter at Augustana, and just tore shit up. 2 seasons with Augustana was 61% passing, over 4,000 yards, over 40 tuds, and ran for over 500 yards too. Really just did a lot. They did kind of a lot of everything for that Augustana team after making the move over from the Bobcats. But what's interesting about him, sorry, I got away from the point a little bit, is that he's Canadian. He was raised on the border in Sumas, Washington. I'm hopefully pronouncing that correct. He qualified for Canadian citizenship through his mother, Kelly, who was born in Abbotsford, British Columbia. He was added to the 2024 CFL draft in early March. Kind of interesting. So he went to the CFL Combine as well and went through all of that, that testing and things. The CFL Combine is actually slated for tomorrow as I record this, today as you're listening, April 30th at 8 o'clock at night. But it's kind of interesting. His unexpected, it says here, his unexpected NFL opportunity throws a significant wrench into his stock because now, how does that look? I don't think he was graded as a very high pick in the CFL draft, but could have definitely been a guy that could have gone there. It'll be interesting to see how that plays into this. For him, though, the CFL could certainly prove as a great backup plan for him. The limits with, we talked with Pat about the number of American players that can be on those rosters. So for him to have that kind of dual citizenship or identify, I guess, as a Canadian, that sounds kind of funny. But that's huge for him as far as opportunities moving forward. Let's get to a trio. Yes, not one, not a duo, but a trio of Argonauts from West Florida that have signed professional deals. That's incredible to me. The first dude that we'll start out with, John Giles, the wide receiver from West Florida. This is the quote from that same Lance Jerell. He says, Giles has arms like veins, showed off his ridiculous catch radius on more than one occasion during his college career. Can certainly attest to that. He came in and just lit up the scene at West Florida. And we'll talk about Peewee Jarrett here in a minute. He was a big reason for that and throwing him the ball. But John Giles did a ton of great work for that West Florida offense. Coming in after a really, filling the shoes of a really talented wide receiver last year, and David Durden, who got a shot with the Cowboys. Although I do believe Durden, his rookie season kind of took a turn for the worse. He had a torn ACL in training camp, but was showing out over there. So we'll hopefully see David Durden get another chance. But as far as Giles goes, 6'2", filled the shoes certainly of Durden, at least when it came to West Florida. He was also named to the CBS Sports Top 25 Small College Prospects, sitting at number 12 there. So this pick here and him getting a deal was not really a surprise at all. He was also at the College Gridiron Showcase. That brought a lot more eyes to him. Talk about one kind of like putting on the map type of game for him. He caught 3 touchdowns, had 277 yards receiving against North Greenville during the season. That was ridiculous, and that was actually the second most in a single game among all NCAA divisions during the season, trailing just one random performance. But that's just the caliber that he's in. That was kind of just what he did in 12 games there. He had a program record for receiving yards in a single season, 1,255, 16 touchdowns to his name as well. And the man throwing him the pigskin is not going to play for the Giants, but will be around a very similar area. Peewee Jarrett is going to the New York Jets, with actually one of the cleaner graphics and like jersey swaps that I've seen. This looks ridiculously cool. But Peewee is a guy that we've talked about a lot on this show, had him on the show, was really excited for him to see this news. He's a dude that fits the NFL kind of quarterback prototypical build, I would say, certainly. Now, the quarterback room in New York is going to be interesting. Aaron Rodgers comes back from the torn Achilles. You've also got another vet in Tyrod Taylor there to be a pretty experienced backup. And they bring in Jordan Travis from Florida State, who you would assume to be kind of the penciled-in third-string guy there. If they're going to keep the 3 quarterbacks, they'll stick probably to that system. The good thing for Peewee is that it's been reported that Travis is still recovering from that broken leg he suffered in November. And not to obviously it stinks that he had to suffer that injury and probably actually kept them from a playoff run. But the good news for Peewee is that if Jordan actually is still sidelined through like rookie minicamp and things of that nature, is that Peewee is going to get a shot. He's going to get a shot to get a lot of reps. And he's a guy that came from a JUCO college. He was at Iowa Central Community College, was there for 2 years, transferred to West Florida in 22, and then in 2 years at West Florida, man, he threw for over 5,000 yards, ran for over 1,000. He's 6'3", 225 pounds. He really good athleticism out of the pocket, dual threat guy, makes things happen, can kind of just be like a playmaker and kind of extend plays outside the pocket. He's a lot of really good things going for him. I know his accuracy has come under question before from different scouts that I've read bits on, but I don't think there's, it's going to come down to what does he actually get a fair shot and a fair shake in camp. My feeling is, why the hell would they sign him if they're not going to give him that chance? I think he'll make the most of whatever he does get. We'll see how that quarterback room pans out. It's going to be very interesting over there in New York. But the third and final Argonaut that I wanted to mention, crazy, by the way, that they have 3 guys that have already signed deals. And I'll briefly mention this guy because admittedly I just don't know enough about him, but Desmond Bland here, he's an offensive lineman going to the Saints as well. He's inked that deal. So once again, not 1, not 2, but 3 Argonauts already having professional deals just a day after the draft is concluded. That is so awesome for a Division II program that, started less than 10 years ago, right? Less than a decade old, this program is. They've already been in national championships and done these incredible things, won it. Like, it's just so many great things coming out of this program. Excited to see what the future holds for these guys and for that Argonaut program down there in Pensacola. But let's keep moving forward here. And we'll go on to, once again, a guy that I can really confidently say I'm just not really I'm not familiar with his game. I need that Shaq meme right about now. That would actually be really appropriate for this. But Gelani Baker, the wide receiver from Limestone, is someone that I have not heard a whole lot about, but you best believe I'm going to do my research now. I got to get hip on this young man. He's been obviously getting in front of the right eyes. He's going to the Baltimore Ravens, and really excited for him. And some of the write-ups, on Gelani here, talking about his playmaking ability. He is 6'2", 195 pounds, so got a good frame on him. Did a lot of damage this year, over 1,000 yards for Limestone, 14 receiving touchdowns. Was a big part of the kick return and punt return game for them as well, so we'll see if that plays into kind of what he has going on at the NFL level. Lined up as the slot receiver, so he's very much an inside guy for this Limestone offense, which we'll see if that takes that to the next level. I would assume so. He doesn't really strike me as an outside guy in the limited things that I've seen on him. Again, I don't know much about this guy, but just excited to see him move forward. Says that has really good body controls and adjusts to back shoulder throws, balls delivered outside of his kind of immediate catch radius. He has evaded contact throughout the route, swift, concise swim move, keeps hands off the frame. A lot of good stuff written about him here. But again, sky's the limit for this dude. Hopeful to see him at least on a practice squad, if not make the damn 53-man roster moving forward. How about another guy that caught me maybe a little bit by surprise? Rico Pyton, the defensive back from Pittsburgh State, also going to the Saints. I guess shout out the Saints, man. You know how many guys, just from this list that they've signed, the small school guys? That's a pretty neat deal in itself. Now, he's an interesting kind of deal here, is that Pitt State had their own pro day back in March, and the Chiefs, Colts, Jaguars, 49ers, Packers, Vikings, Patriots, and Falcons all attended that pro day. New Orleans wasn't even there, but they like this guy obviously a lot. They certainly like their small school prospects. He had an official top 30 visit with them, and then also had a top 30 visit with an unnamed AFC team, so was garnering a bit of interest from elsewhere in the league as well. Really excited for him and a Pittsburgh State squad. We've seen a lot of talent come out of there. You'll notice Devin Garrison is not a name on this list, which was pretty surprising for me, because he's a guy I thought definitely would have gone, the unicorn, the D2 tight end, who had just been stellar for that guerrilla offense. But another guy we've had on the show, we'll kind of close to closing out this part of the pod. Trey Veal from Minnesota State. He signs, puts pen to paper for the Atlanta Falcons. And if you guys know anything about Trey, obviously as a defensive back, but you won't probably see him going to play DB for the Falcons. I would assume this is more of a special teams get, and if he starts there, maybe weasels his way into a DB job over there in Atlanta. That'd be awesome. He's 5'10", 173 pounds, really lean right now, got to put that weight on, but you talk about the new rules when it comes to kickoff coming to the NFL and seeing how maybe teams are going to approach this differently. They want some more dynamic playmakers back there. He's very comfortable with the ball in his hands. They returned both kicks and punts from Mankato. A lot of big things coming for Trey, who, by the way, their running back over there, Sheen Butler-Lawson, just jumped in the portal. That is big news. Not great news, but big news for that Mankato offense. Finally, though, wrap it up with the UDFA signings. How about New Haven? A team we don't talk about too much here on the pod. They had a guy go, and that's the tight end Kevin Folch on signing the free agent contract here with the Panthers. Big time. Devin Holmes, another guy from New Haven, had a mini camp invite. I want to make sure I mentioned that as well. So some guys from the NE10 getting some NFL love. Love to see that. But I'm going to quickly go through some of these guys that had some mini camp invites as well. We won't spend too much time talking about them. You'll see here we've got, to start things off, two Grand Valley guys, the first of which being Cade Peterson, the quarterback, staying local, gets the invite to the Lions mini camp, which is exciting for Cade. Certainly another quarterback that has a pro build. He's a dual threat guy. I've seen him play in person. He's the real deal. This guy, very much in the same boat. Christian McCarroll, defensive lineman. He's going to Indy for their minicamp. This might have been one of the, if not the best defensive player in the GLIAC. That says a lot for this conference. He was a difference maker and a dude that was very much, in that same conversation. This man, linebacker Julius Wilkerson from Davenport, he's going to Tampa Bay to ball out with the Bucs. Let's stay on the topic of big-time defensive playmakers with Deshaun McCarthy here, the invite from the Kansas City Chiefs. This dude has pulled in just about every accolade possible down there in the PSAC, and when it comes to the national standings, has all the numbers when it comes to a physical standpoint to check those boxes. And another interesting piece here, not one but two Limestone wide receivers showing some love here by NFL teams. Oh, right there we go, Drew Dixon. He's going to be in Green Bay with the Packers for their rookie minicamp. And Limestone, how about that? That kind of came out of nowhere for me. Not one but two guys from that Limestone offense, two pass catchers that are going to be getting chances at the NFL level. Moving forward, though, how about from Concordia St. Paul, Jake Edwards? The tackle, offensive tackle from over there. Not a name I'm too familiar with, but happy for him. He's got another chance with the Saints. Add it to the number of Saints, small school guys that they're picking up. Talked about Kevin earlier on. Devin Holmes from New Haven, He's, again, a really multifaceted guy that had some big things to do with their special teams play. Was just kind of a utility knife, like a Swiss Army knife for that Charger offense over there. Got pretty sick uniforms, by the way, on that blue turf. It's pretty cool. But that's the most of it for D2 guys. Like I said, I'm sure I probably missed a couple names. Actually, I hope I missed a few, because that means there's more guys getting deals done and making that jump to the next level. But before we get into the rest of the stuff in the podcast, let's bring on Jimmy Martin, talk about the D3 guys getting deals at the next level.